just like that, we're back in it. Back in the wild world of Berserkin.
What's the Midland? What's it called again?
I think it's Midland, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It's not Middle Earth, that's different.
I'm trying to remember how this works, though. Midland is like North America or something, right? And then there's like different... Or is it a continent? Or is it the name of the world? Because I thought the world was something else.
Oh.
Like, I thought Midland was kind of like Europe or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's Europe because we're going to get some Europe jargon later on. In volume 28 of Mira's masterpiece, this is all he was doing, right? Like, he wasn't secretly in a band or something, or he had a side project. This was the side project.
Yeah, I'm assuming this probably took over his life, which would make a lot of sense. This thing is pretty big.
Yeah, 3 decades of storytelling. Oh,
yeah, it looks like he did some other works. I don't know.
Anime? Did you ever make a show? TV show?
Well, I've never heard of them, but...
okay.
They are Japanese, so that he made Oroden, which I've never heard of. It looks kind of like... Honestly, the image that came up looks like guts with, like, a small sword, like more samurai guts or something.
Okay.
Japan is another one he made, apparently. Gigantomaxia is another one, and Duranki. Yeah, I don't know. Apparently that one's ancient Greek inspired and Mesopotamian. So that's kind of cool, I guess.
Okay. But we're not talking about any of those.
To 2020, so that's new.
That's like his last thing then, probably.
Well, besides this, because he was still working on this.
I guess so, yeah. Just raid his desk and see. But anyway, this is Nathan speaking right now. This is the voice of Nathan. And Paul is here.
That's me. Yeah, this is my voice. We're in Falconia is the name of this chapter now.
That's the arc we're in? Okay. My first note here is, was Shirka an orphan or did Flora steal a baby? That's the question I was asking.
Okay.
Has that been established? Do we know how the dearest student came to be?
It's weird because I feel like that's something we probably got a panel of, like, I found you in the forest or something, and, like, I forgot completely about it, but I have no idea.
Yeah. It was just something that occurred to me, because, like, every time you see flashbacks of, like, Shirka as a little kid or whatever, it's all the most precious, sweet stuff ever.
Yeah.
Which doesn't seem in keeping with Berserk's general tone of war and misery or whatever. But maybe she was just off in the forest and had a totally different upbringing. So thus establishing the crazy culture clash we get at the end of this volume when she has to see what humanity's been up to. But we're way far away from getting to that part of the tale.
Yeah, we're still on the coastline right now, chilling.
Yeah, we're walking along the coast, ruminating on how scary the ocean is, which works out. Yeah. Especially
at night. At night, right?
Not often. Like
I haven't.
It's been
often
a while
either,
since. Yeah,
it's terrifying. It scares.
We're
the shit
landlocked where we're at. We're behind some mountains and stuff.
To be fair, it scares the shit out of me during the day as well. But it is
the vastness. It's just so big.
Yeah, and it's just like a giant cloak of a bunch of stuff that we as humans haven't even seen the depths of yet.
Despite James Cameron's best efforts,
right, exactly.
We just don't know what's down there. Yeah,
it's such a just weird phenomenon. I hate it.
I guess in Japan you can't escape it. Like, you're on an island nation, so
sure
you got a lot of ocean
with
going on.
What 1,400 separate islands or something, like part of Japan. So yeah, you probably have traveled on a boat at least a few times in your life. There,
probably more than we get out here in Calgary.
I was there for a week and I traveled on a boat 2 or 3 times. So yeah, definitely.
If that's just a regular part of your day. I kind of like this image about like the dark ocean and the kind of anxiety Guts is talking about with that, because it pays off with kind of
later on
how the armor is.
Yeah.
Was kind of the image established. So, but yeah, Shirka and him are walking along. I guess everybody is, but they're the ones talking. And she kind of has a little emotional breakdown moment where she's trying to be cool. Like, it's like, oh no, magic users, we don't like mourn or anything because we know that death isn't the end. It's just the beginning of a new transcendent state or something.
Right.
But then he kind of says like, is this where he says like, you're being too old, like you're gonna age quickly, you're gonna be an old lady.
Yeah.
Like if you keep that mentality all the time or whatever.
Yeah, basically just like, it's all right to like be a kid and be sad that your mother essentially is dead. That's fine.
So yeah, then she wells up a bit and cries, and then there's this kind of awkward like Ivalira, the fairy, starts teasing her about like, oh, you have a crush on Guts. This is your first crush. Oh. And she's super embarrassed because maybe
super weird.
Sort of. It's super weird, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like Shirko a lot as a character though, so I don't want to dwell on that weirdness. But yeah, it's a little joke they make. And then hey, guess who shows up again?
Yeah,
it's Skull Knight.
I was kind of waiting for this. I was waiting for maybe him to explain a little bit more what the armor is, and he kind of doesn't, as is his MO. He wore it, he says, and he says a bunch of cryptic stuff about you're going to like lose your humanity essentially. I can't remember how he says it. It's like you'll lose taste and then light and then like warmth or something. Like
okay.
All the things
I mostly remember away. Shirka kind of throwing some questions at him and like communicating with him a little bit. Just like, what's your deal? Like, what was with you and Flora or whatever? And it's like, oh, I was kind of like you are to him now.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like
pretty cool.
We were in similar circumstances. And it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, just, time echoing like again, that
was neat.
This kind of tale.
That was cool. Yeah. The most important thing he talks about here though is Elfhelm, and Casca might be able to like be cured, so her mind is locked away or something is fucked with it. She's not just a child anymore, like really.
Yeah, no, I mean, this was a huge story panel, and it's just like, oh, thank God. Like, I was really worried that this part of the narrative was going to just continue unaddressed. In fact, I feel like last time I was kind of like, hopefully this isn't just some garbage, like Mira just forgot about her and it's easier to write her this way and stuff, and I'm happy to be wrong. Because it's like, oh no, he's conscious that it's been a long time, Casca's been trapped, so we're going to at least move towards a solution to that. And yeah, like, the leader of Elfhelm, like, what was his name again? The flower something?
It's Hanufubuku or something like that.
Okay.
The elf, the high elf or whatever.
Yeah, he may have the ability to regain, like, give Casca a chance to regain her mind.
Right.
Is the big revelation. Briefly, I want to touch on this, like, odd thing about Flora, though. Like, there was discussion as to, like, why she was targeted, which Griffith, I guess, is kind of trying to eliminate magical people that are powerful enough to take, like, damage him in any way.
Right.
Which, for some reason, like, reminded me of Tom Bombadil from Lord of the Rings, because he's just this, like, weird character that's like never really addressed in the movies or anything because he's just too out there.
Yeah.
But he's like this extremely powerful magical person that is just not involved in the narrative of Middle Earth, really. Like, he's just kind of out on his own planet all the time. It kind of made me think about this kind of dialogue from Skull Knight and stuff about being outside of the narrative. Like, we're not part of the story. We're kind of outside the story, which was kind of cool. But
yeah, his way of talking about it is it would be as if, like, for normal people or whatever attacking Griffith, it's as if a character in a story trying to attack its creator, like, outside of the book or whatever. Like,
yeah, like,
literally
he's
jumping
kind of
out. Yeah,
fighting fate or something, or trying to break causality, I would imagine. He doesn't use these terms. These are just kind of terms established in Berserk elsewhere.
Right.
But yeah, it was kind of neat hearing him ruminate a little bit. Because you get a lot of Skull Knight just swooping in and doing crazy stuff, but just hearing him kind of talking and establishing a little more. I think this volume was also where I was kind of starting to bemoan that we only have like 10 left or something. You know, like we're somehow 3/4 through. Because I was like, this just seems like such a vast like possibility space.
It's weird because I felt the same. I felt just like, they're building up a lot, and I know that like Mira died like 5 years after this was written or something. Like,
yeah, I'm just like, I don't know how we're gonna wrap all this up, because like there's just kind of more and more. Like this could have just kept on going, like forever. So hopefully we get to like satisfactory conclusions with at least some of this stuff. And yeah, hearing Casca has its shot at being Casca again is pretty great. And I actually liked Guts kind of laughing and thinking happily on that notion. Yeah. But there is that kind of weird warning about like, oh, she might not wish for the same thing. Yeah. What was it? Yeah, where is that? I thought I wrote it down.
Yeah, because it seems like
no
it's
guarantee your wish will be her wish. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's repeated later in his mind. So
I'm trying. What do you think? Like the wish they're talking about? Like, is it just as mundane as like being with Guts, or is it just like I want to kill Griffith more than anything? She might not agree with that, or what would be the point of difference?
I mean, I was just hoping that it was. I'm hoping it's just something like she doesn't want to be with Guts, but like she lives happily ever after. Because I'm okay with that.
Sure.
I'm less okay with just being like, oh no, I actually like really love Griffith, and I'm gonna stand by his side now. It's just like, no, why did we do this?
Like she's so fogged over from the Eclipse experience, she doesn't remember or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the wish that might not be in common. It might just be like she might still be scared of you, like she might not.
Oh yeah.
And especially now that he's equipped with the armor and everything, and he's going to become less human. That's at least a threat anyway. Like, yeah, it's like you might kind of lose. You might not be in sync or on pace with her anymore, but she could be herself again, which is still worth working towards.
Right.
Man, that wide-eyed little kid though really threw me off. Like when I first encountered that panel, I was just like, "What is Casca seeing part of herself or something? What is this?" And it's like, no, it's like a weird little kid. Yeah, like the same kind of wild hair and everything. I was just like, is this just a diminutive part of her psyche or something? It's like, no, it's just a weird kid. Like she came across something that's really there, but I was kind of just because coming off of that conversation about her mind and everything, like I was like, oh, are we getting a little bit of like how she sees things or like weird way she's traversing reality or something? It's like, no, there's just a weird kid.
No, this is a kid. Yeah, this kid's here. Yeah.
There's just a strange little kid here. And they like she kind of embraces this weird little kid, and they're just sitting on the beach. It's kind of nice. I don't know what to make of this. It's sort of surreal and weird. So great wide-eyed drawing though. It was really quality. But okay, sorry.
So we're on the same page that this is probably their kid, uncorrupted, right?
I don't know how that would exist though. Like,
I don't know, but the way it's drawn looks like Guts as a kid and her.
I guess so, yeah. There's definitely similarities to both of them, but I just don't know what to make of this kid at all at this point. He's a very strange person that pops up. And it's not just like in her mind or anything. Like other people see this kid and are like, what's with this kid? It's like, I don't know.
How would you feel if this kid had white hair?
Like,
would that change like the tone of every scene it's in?
Like Griffith blue hair?
This is a male kid, right?
Yeah, I initially didn't perceive that either, but I guess there's like a little hint of like a penis, but you can't draw that. It's not cool.
Right.
So it's like, oh, okay. I now see that this is a little boy, but he's mute or whatever. It doesn't say anything. other than sort of copying the weird sounds that Casca's making here and there. They I don't know. They seem to be in sync in some strange way. There's also a moment where a crocodile monster looks at the kid and then goes away. So I don't know what to make of that either. But yeah, an army of like I called them gator men in my notes, but they're immediately established as crocodiles, so I can't tell the difference. Start storming this little cabin they're in on the coast. I guess the initial drawing, I thought it might be a Kelpie, just with the eyes coming up, but then it's like, oh no, it's more of those crocodile things we saw in like Windhelm or whatever that town was in the last volume. Okay, so immediately Shirka starts establishing this like drawings, like the formation of the four kings, like a ward or something to protect like the cabin.
Yeah, she's just like posting up pieces of paper or something.
Yeah, Ivalira starts like helping post stuff, and it's like, okay, we're gonna like make our stand here and try to withstand this. It's also a full moon, which means you get a crazy MP boost, I guess. Magic is enhanced.
Makes sense, I guess.
But your mind is also close to like faltering or something like this. It's like, oh, you're closer to madness during a full moon, so watch out. Kind of side-eye glance at Guts here, because it's just like, hey, watch out. It's easy to lose control on full moon nights. There's a Yoda joke. Did you perceive this as a Yoda joke?
I did, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Puck appears.
I don't remember what he... Oh, yeah, he's like telling him how to beat the Gatormen. I thought it was cool that because they're Gatormen, they have kind of like a low stance naturally, so his like a normal attack of like sliding in almost got him murdered, like right into the jaws of death there.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of
it's a terrible move. You can't spam your usual combo for this one.
It seemed neat. Oh. That very video game like, where it's just like you just got a new upgrade and now they have a shield against that upgrade or something. So it's still difficult.
Like initially, it looks like it's just a giant crocodile. Sorry, at the door, but then it stands up and has a harpoon with it and stuff. And it's just like, oh, this is nuts. They take care of like one. Like Guts shoots it a bunch in like the eye or something, and that's just like, oh, there's like 50 of these things outside. Like, we got to get ready. This is gonna be an action scene.
But that one is important though, because I think that's the one that like they have a moment to kind of examine quickly and realize that these aren't ethereal beings; these are like manipulated creatures or whatever.
Yeah, they're familiars, so they're part magic, but also flesh and blood.
Right.
And so like the ward or whatever, like the breaker that she's going to make will kind of work, but if they push it, they'll be able to go through. It's just sort of a deterrent. It's not going to completely take care of it.
I read it as like causing pain or something to them.
Kind of like a force field or something, but you can push on through if you have the will for it. Like or like a electric fence or something. Like it'll give you a little zap, but if you really want in, it can't actually stop you. So
like a dog
they don't have much
or something time with like the electricity in it or something. Yeah.
I like that they like, I think it's just I'm seeing a bunch of ads for Diablo 4 and stuff. So hearing like, oh, there's a spellcaster controlling the mob was just like, okay, yeah. Just a mob of Gatormen. You got to get that guy. And it's like, what? Oh, yeah, they're over there. And there's like 4 spellcaster dudes hiding behind a rock. And Serpico kind of slices and dices those guys.
It's pretty good.
It seems like they had some sort of spell or something in case that happened, because then this fog like comes out of their mouths or something, right? Like the severed heads.
So the way I read it is that those severed heads we find, like, it does later on kind of like a flash to... They're on an ocean liner of some sort or something, like out at sea, controlling it. And those same dudes are there? Like, was that them, like, astral projecting themselves or something to do that?
I kind of perceived it as there was like a land crew and then there's a ship with other like the main force is there. So it's kind of like
no, you're like right. Because they say like, but weirdly like whatever. I guess we'll just get into it now. There's a conversation they're having of like we took over the whole coastline in one night or whatever for the Kushan Empire. So this attack wasn't actually against them. It was to gain more ground.
Like this is a wide like span of.
This is
like,
just
this is
a
big campaign.
Push.
Yeah.
That they're just happen to be part of, and then they're like, yeah, we got like every location or whatever that we sent out, but weirdly we like are missing. We can't feel out this area for some reason, which is a little worrisome, and that's I guess like the area that they obviously murdered them in. So you're right. I guess that was like a troop of them.
Yeah, it sounds like there was kind of just a wide scale invasion going on with familiars, and that like battalion of like crocodiles got shut off. Like their casters got killed.
Right.
So then you see like the crocodiles kind of snap out of it a bit, and they're not organized anymore. They're just kind of wandering about and just like what? And then a giant sea beast appears, like a kaiju comes out of the ocean.
Yeah.
And that thing is being controlled by someone offshore, like on a boat.
Right.
So they're not treating the actual cause of that one. They're just fighting the symptom, I guess, which is this crazy monster. What kind of looks like an elephant, but also like a flounder or something with like tentacles and
you know what it looks like? Do you remember those blobfish? Those like ugly ass. They're kind of a meme.
It's like a gigantic blobfish with a trunk, I guess,
and teeth instead of like a weird dopey looking mouth. It has like a bunch of gnarly looking teeth. Yeah,
so the scale of this battle has just upped. In the meantime, Guts has just been like slicing and dicing so many crocodile dudes. Like it hasn't really been a thing. Do you recall what happened to his arm? Like he's bandaged up especially and kind of tightens up a bandage before this battle, and it's like, are you gonna be okay? It's like, yeah, it's fine, like this is good practice or whatever, but there seems to be concern.
He ties his sword to his arm so he doesn't let go, he doesn't lose grip.
Okay.
I'm guessing it's because he's out of practice. He hasn't swung his sword in a month at least at this point.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that like since the Flora fire battle there hasn't been any action.
There's been a big swath of time that he's been trying to heal, and this is just gonna.
And he still has that kind of ethereal wound in his chest and stuff. I think there's concern that he can't really give himself over to the armor again this soon, or else it'll open up all those wounds again and be a big problem.
Right.
So he's kind of having to play this balancing act between like using it to take the pain's edge off and like fight as best he can, but without fully losing it.
Not tapping into the full berserk power. Right, exactly.
But the sea monster appearing,
us, but you know,
I guess so. But like, at least he's trying to get the feel for this armor and its limits or whatever. But this sea monster kind of ups the stakes, and he ends up having to give over to it a bit. And I really liked how it was presented here. Like it's like the armor devours him, like it crawls up his back and a mouth kind of encloses his head. It's almost like an Iron Man suit up, but way better. I don't want to be mean, but
it looks like it's
a sentient
because he's
thing.
Like screaming in pain as it's like covering his face, and there's
and
blood
just like
running
black
down it.
like blood runs through over his eyes and stuff or like a Venom transformation or something, but pretty gnarly. Like it's pretty great.
It's very good.
And then he's just in this kind of blind rage berserker kind of state where he's just like the crocodile guys are just gnashing teeth. Like he's not really seeing forms anymore. He's just seeing angry teeth everywhere, and he's
seeing
fighting
just like
everything.
Danger and things to hit, basically. Yeah.
Cool. This kind of reminded me of like what I really wanted Condemned to do, Bloodshot.
Okay. Yeah.
Which would be kind of like tilt the line between like, are you crazy and you're perceiving everything as a horrible monster, or is this really happening? Like it kind of hits this surreal like question mark where it's like, am I fighting monsters, or am I just insane and I'm punching out random people in the street? Was kind of what I wanted that series to like mess with you with, but I don't think it does. But there's at least in the fiction this notion
does that sort of thing.
Kind of, yeah, where you're shooting things you're perceiving things wrong because your your like heightened awareness,
your
or whatever.
PTSD or whatever is fucking.
Yeah, you're so shocked that you're not really perceiving things correctly. Like in the armor, you're just in full like rage, and it takes a lot to like wind down and not just kill everything around you. What does he do? He cuts off the trunk of the sea creature.
He jabs it in the eye and then like cuts its trunk off, basically right after as he's dismounting it.
So it's pretty disabled almost immediately.
Yeah.
And then the gators are all, or the crocodiles, sorry, they're all diced and sliced. And I kind of misread this scene initially because he starts charging towards the companions, like the party on the beach, and then this like form appears that stops him, and I thought it was Shirka, like her spell form, like kind of like, right. We kind of alluded to the dark ocean thing.
You're supposed to think that, the way it's
in the moment, like when he's devoured by the armor, it's kind of like the anxiety he was talking about with like being swallowed by the dark sea and being like lost in it. It's kind of like that. Yeah, is how it's visually presented. It's like he's deep in like black water. He can't really perceive what's outside of it. And then after this like blinding figure appears to kind of stop him from slaying everybody, Shirka does appear and kind of pulls him out like water, like from underneath the water. So my initial read was like, oh, he was so deep in that he didn't perceive the full, like the dimension and the shape of this person. He just saw this like vague figure.
Sure.
But no, it was something else entirely.
What's actually scary though is that that figure, there's something that happens where it like reaches out and touches him and it breaks like the spell he's under enough so that Shirka can take over from that point. Shirka couldn't reach him like at this point.
It kind of touches the wolf armor and like this splinter of white light kind of crackles through it, and you kind of see Guts' eyes again. So it's I don't know.
It's bad. I don't want him to use this thing anymore, man. I want him to get rid of this fucking armor. Because weren't we literally talking about this like last episode too, of just like how long before it's just like, oh, he's a threat to like he's just gonna kill everything in the area. The next fucking chapter they're like, oh my god, I've heard of berserkers. They drive fear in everybody, not because they're crazy, but because they kill everything, including their companions. It's like, okay.
It's very like Kratos in God of War 1, like blinded by war or whatever. You're gonna lose yourself here. Fortunately, my stupid brain, while he was in full wolf form or whatever, just slashing crocodile monsters, I was like, for some reason, Hungry Like the Wolf is playing in my brain, like Duran.
Yeah.
And it's just a really dumb music video of him just in wolf armor fighting all these guys.
If that's not a YouTube video right now, I'm going to be mad. Because
I don't know if this scene would ever have been animated. Because I was like, this would be my submission to an AMV contest at a convention or something. Would just be cut to Hungry Like the Wolf. And it's stupid but fun. But yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's anything coming up.
That's fine. I mean, this is just how it went for me. Okay, so they don't get these casters on the ship. They kind of have a little scene with the big warship out there. After it was established that wasn't Shirka, I thought it might be Flora, but then they kind of tipped the hat that it's probably the kid. Like it's probably the weird little boy. Yeah. Yeah. Which I guess that's kind of like the way the little fetus thing like appeared a couple times to protect Casca, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like, so I guess I see what you're saying with that being like a similar thing. I just don't know how this little guy came to be. There's no real clues for me as of right now. He just kind of appears. Yeah.
See, okay, so this is just going to be my assumption, my prediction or whatever. when Griffith was reborn, so was Eggman that had the kid fetus in it, and this is
okay. This is like a purified version of that.
Yeah, like I'm almost wondering. I guess like I shouldn't be calling my shot when we're still so far from the end. I'm almost wondering if like Guts isn't actually the one that defeats Griffith. It's this kid, because this kid is like God,
the best
Guts,
of both of them or something. Yeah. Sure. I don't know. We'll see what the future holds for this weird little kid.
Right. But okay, kid's gone after this as well, is why it tips its hat, because they couldn't find him.
Yeah, they lose track of him after this battle, and you see him kind of standing on a rock, looking out over the ocean or something. Like, it's just kind of like, what's with this kid? And then we cut to other stuff. Briefly, this like Daiba character, this dude's just kind of smoking like a hashish pipe or something and talking about the campaign. This is where that scene happens, where someone's like, "Yeah, we lost contact with one unit though. It's kind of weird." And it's like, "Huh, no one could have possibly defeated those things. They're so powerful. Who knows what that's about or whatever." So we see kind of whoever was masterminding this campaign on behalf of what was that guy, like last week's villain, the beard guy?
Oh my god, I'm trying to remember his name. It's based on one of their gods, their god of war, I think, the Indian god of war. I can't remember.
Ganishka?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ganishka the Dread Emperor. This is his campaign for the Kushan or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, get this odd kind of Dalsim looking guy with like a beard.
I really like the different styles of stuff going on now. Like, I remember thinking back to the Golden Age comics or manga, and just being like, this is kind of boring, because it's just like wars between two knights, like a bunch of knights fighting each other. It's cool now that we have like a third player has entered the battle sort of thing, and they're so fucking different in every way.
Well, it's a little more Crusades or something, like Middle Eastern influence versus like Western Christian Holy See kind of guys.
Speaking of the Holy See, though.
Yeah. We get a huge like exposition dump. Like, this was such a gear shift midway through this volume, from like just all out crazy crocodile men and action and sea monsters and everything. And it's just like, all right, there's going to be more text than drawings for the next little bit as we go through. Though. Like Serpico is kind of laying out all these different factions that you're seeing. Like, he knows all the banner guard, like all the coats of arms and everything, and he's explaining who everybody is. You also get like, what is happening? It's like a bunch of forces are marshaling together for this giant war between the Kushan and Midland, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
They established a alliance of some sort to battle them back.
Yeah, this was such a mind bender for me that it's like, oh yeah, like, I guess Guts doesn't talk about himself, so
at all.
It's not like all these characters he's hanging out with know his history with the Band of the Hawk and Griffith and stuff. So they're like talking about this legendary commander in like the same kind of like doting terms of just like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. I heard about that guy. The Band of the Hawk. He was dope. He was the best ever. And it's like, his mortal enemy is like right here. He's your friend. Like, what are you doing? It's like, no, they don't know. Like, Guts doesn't talk about this stuff, so they're just kind of blindly saying the dumbest shit.
I thought it was kind of sweet though that Isidra's like, yeah, that guy's cool or whatever. But did you hear about his fucking captain? That guy is the best. He's the strongest.
The captain of the Raiders was way better. He killed like 1,000 guys. And then
and I think Guts even has like a thing that says exaggerated or something. Yeah.
Like, he killed all the Rhino Knights by himself with like no sword. Like, he's like making it more than it was, but it's like, yeah okay. Like,
that's so good though. I love that so much.
Yeah, Guts just kind of not talking about himself. There was very like, I don't know, Man with No Name or William Money or something. Like, Guts has all this legendary history that his companions don't even know about. And he's not going to enlighten them either. Like, he's like, hey, wait, weren't you a mercenary? Weren't you in a band or something? It's like, oh, yeah, it's a long time ago. I don't even remember.
He literally says, like, I don't even remember their name or something like that. Yeah. It's so good.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So, yeah, Serpico and Isidro are just kind of relaying his story, like, third hand or whatever. I don't know. It was a fun little scene.
Yeah.
But, okay. So... I don't know. This volume definitely, like, over the past few, I've like Shirka has been climbing the ranks of like Berserk characters for me.
For sure.
This really like helped solidify like a top spot. Like this little story we get here with her kind of going off in the city, and like she gets heckled by these random like Holy See people for looking like a witch because she is.
Yeah.
And her hat gets like crumpled and all this. Like I don't know. She has like a sweet little weird story here where she's kind of asserting her powers over idiots. Like she's able to kind of Jedi mind trick a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And then she sees this really weird looking ghost down an alley and finds just like all these slaves that have been executed. And she's trying to kind of sort out their souls or whatever. It's like, no, I'm going to free these trapped in pain spirits or whatever.
Yeah.
We need to properly like cremate these things. And she just kind of like casts something on these two like doofuses there and like gets them to do this stuff. Like it's just like, no, we're taking these bodies down and cremating them. And they're just like, okay, yeah, like they're blank and start doing this. What is the name of this character we're about to meet again? Like, do you recall?
Remember. No.
Okay. She's that like woman that Griffith kind of has recruited. We were almost like postulating that she has some sort of like extrasensory perception in a similar way, where she was seeing the battlefield and like they were able to use her to like get a better sense of the grand scale and whatever, like like second sight or something.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, that character who we know is deeply allied with Griffith and is not on the level in some like kind of like she's bought into the cult, like she's deep in with the Hawk. She runs into, she sees this happen from afar, like she sees the spirits flying up into the sky, and then tracks down Shirka and starts kind of talking to her and relays the story of the Band of the Hawk with like this bird analogy.
Yeah.
Which is pretty great. Just all these ducks standing in for all these characters, including Charlotte or whatever, like as a duck, is pretty great.
Yeah, the princess duck or something.
Yeah, it's like some of her jealousy or whatever is like seeping in. It's just like this totally unflattering, like doofy looking duck princess. It's like, no, yeah, she's a duck. Yeah. I'm a great, like I'm a real bird. Like I can fly in the same skies as the hawk. Like, yeah. I don't know. It's just this weird kind of passive aggressive way she's relaying this stuff. But she's got some weird game going on here. She's trying to recruit powerful people or something, maybe. Like she's trying to get in with this witch.
Yeah.
And Ivalura or whatever, like the fairy's smitten by the storytelling, like bought in pretty quickly. But yeah, I don't know. Just it's planting seeds for like weird,
for some
magic
weird shit gonna happen. Yeah.
Commonality between these two or whatever. But yeah, I guess in all of this, they kind of lose track of Shirka during this when she gets her hat trampled and she's kind of sad, so she wanders off.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to understand why Isidro was walking around with a pumpkin, but I really enjoyed
because
it
has her face
means.
like carved in it, like she looks like this sort of thing.
Yeah, they carved a likeness of Shirka into a pumpkin. She's like, have you seen this girl? She kind of looks like this pumpkin. I was like, this is so great.
There's a few panels where there's just like different people reacting. There's like a group of women laughing at him, and isn't there like one of them takes it and like starts eating it or like cooking it or something, the pumpkin?
It gets put in front of that man or whatever. And it's like maybe it's on a pan or something. I missed what was going on with the pumpkin. I just thought it was really funny. Prior to this, there was also a joke at Isidro's expense, where Puck tries to give him a banana because Monkey Boy.
Yeah.
Just like he inadvertently kind of really insulted Shirka and like didn't respect her clothing, despite it being kind of the last memento she has of her time with Flora and everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you screwed up, but here, have a banana, Monkey Boy, kind of thing. It was just a dumb little gesture. But yeah, that's all I have note wise.
There was also one other thing. There was like a knight on a horse asking about, did you say something about a witch? And then like
Isidro is very defensive about it. Yeah. He's kind of like, whoa, hey, like you're trying to turn her in, aren't you? And you kind of get the sense that this guy isn't.
Especially because he can see Puck come at him, which is the first person here that's not part of the group that has seen the fairies.
Right. You get a little bit of the fairies kind of trolling people, like just kind of like pulling on dudes' lips and stuff and just be like, see, they can't even see us. We're in stealth mode. Like, this is just a bunch of slack jaws over here. And then, this guy kind of is keen-eyed and sees and kind of dodges an attack or something, doesn't he? Like, he bends out of the way of Puck trying to hit him.
Yeah, exactly.
With his elf dimension style or whatever he was doing there. So, yeah. The character planted for later. We don't know his name, but there's a knight that seems interested in witches for perhaps not duplicitous reasons.
Yeah. I hope not.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you kind of have like the girl from Griffith's army successfully infiltrate with Shirka and Ivalera. Then you have this guy get rebuffed by Isidro, even though he might be actually an ally. Yeah. Different things going on here. But yeah, just like very different, like final end, like chapter in this volume. But I'm curious where it's going.
For sure. It ends off on kind of a weird note too, with a bunch of slave kids being herded by their slave owners on the dock, and Shirka come standing up.
That's
and
right.
Like, stop that right now, and it just kind of cold cuts off. So I don't know.
That's right. Yeah, like she's getting into some trouble, I guess, but on behalf of all these kids who are probably the kids of all those executed people, which I think in that I think she had one of those kind of guys she mind controlled or whatever, just kind of relay what was going on, like just like what's going on here, and then he just kind of says like, oh yeah, no, it's nothing really against them. We just have to make a good show after we take over, or we're preparing for war now, so we can't just have all these slaves. So we're just kind of killing them to warn people not... Like, it's very cold and dispassionate and bad. I guess this is, like, the first, like, Shirka, like, fish out of water or something. Like, she's the small hermit kind of situation growing up. She now has to, like, deal with the big city.
Country girl in the big city. Hell yeah.
But she's sort of overwhelmed by it because there's like so much odd going on. There's so much like flow of humanity everywhere, and like the sights and smells and everything. It's just kind of too much.
For sure.
So especially if you can also see beyond the veil or whatever, like she's seeing ghosts and all sorts of weird stuff in this place. So I don't know. It's just it's a neat direction we're going with this character.
It is super cool. I really like this whole, like, her basically saving the spirits thing, too. Because they haven't introduced that yet, because there really hasn't been fucked up, like, ghosts that have died in terrible ways, and their spirits are stuck here on Earth, sort of thing.
Yeah, when I first saw it, it looked like it was tethered or something. I was like, is this a trap or something? What is this? And then it's like, no, it's just loosely tied to this recently deceased person or whatever, so...
And easily probably the most basic drawing Mira has ever done in his life. It's like a stick man or something, which is great.
Yeah. Also, I realized after, in hindsight, it's like, hey, this is like a whole volume with like no nudity or sexual assault or anything. it's just
pretty great,
straightforward stuff. So lighter than your average Berserk read, I guess, was this chapter. But it was good stuff. Yeah,
I agree.
So there you go, Berserk 28.
Do you have any predictions going forward, long term or short term?
Well, just kind of that thing. I was wondering if we'll get more into, like, perhaps it was briefly addressed, like Flora, like how did Shirka come to be a witch in the first place and stuff. We might get some origin stuff. I mean, this Daiba character seems like a future boss battle.
Yeah,
of some kind. But just with him controlling minions or whatever. Has that been a thing? Like, is that a common thing with, like, there's mobs of enemies in all of these top-down RPGs, but is there, like, oh, this is the guy that's controlling the thing, you gotta kill that guy?
I think so. I think
like
that's
a spawn point kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, there's a bunch of games, Necromancers specifically, like, if you kill them, their skeleton crew just, like, pops or something. That's a thing that's been done a lot, and it's similar, I think, probably. What do you think about this other girl, the other witch? Do you think we get a weird,
she's
like,
trouble?
Do you think we get a weird boss fight of just, like, the two on either side, Griffith versus Guts, and then these two versus each other, like, at the same time, like, fighting
I'm trying
each
to,
other
like,
off?
They seem to kind of establish, like, it seems meant to establish, like, see, you're kind of like me. Like, we're kind of mirror images of each other. Yeah. But then it's going to be like, oh, but we're different in this respect. Like, you're a total pawn or, like, whatever. I could see this being kind of like the, establishment of a sort of rivalry of some kind.
They kind of established, too, this weird thing of, like, Guts. In this one, Shirka gets a little, like, sad that Guts is interested in Casca. Like, she obviously does have, like, a schoolgirl crush, and probably nothing more on him.
Yeah.
And we also find that the other girl, is not too happy that there's a princess in Griffith's life that, like,
that's true. Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting how much of a mirror image everything is becoming, and then we have the mirror image of, like, Skull Knight and Flora literally are Guts and Shirke right now, but, like, younger, or, like, thousands of years ago or whatever.
And then, I mean, Zod and Skull Knight being kind of opposite numbers. Like,
it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I guess they're, the kind of parallel way this is building up or whatever. You're kind of right last week. I hadn't really thought about how it's like, this is sort of Guts or Griffith climbing the social ladder, but now in demon world or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Like him versus Ganishka and everything is just this kind of, like, next level of the Hawk taking on the toughest dudes in the land or whatever. It's like, all right, we defeated all the human enemies. Now we're moving up the scale to, like, Dread Emperors. So,
What's kind of interesting about it, too, is I really believe he's not trying to, like, climb up the scale to just, like, climb up the scale. I really do believe he still wants, I'm guessing maybe he establishes it in this chapter, Falconia.
Falconia.
That he
outer
controls.
heaven, essentially.
Yeah. I do believe that's probably his ultimate goal. The ironic thing now, though, is that because of his opening up the demon world bullshit, he has to do that shit again. Because there's another... It just seems like there's always an opponent that won't let you take what you want in his way. Because if it was just people, he won. Like, this chapter doesn't happen. There's no fight. He literally is just...
we're just you were a commoner who became a real knight, who became this general and all this. Like, his kind of ascent through the social strata. But then he kind of bumped his head and on the ceiling and got torn down. Yeah. But reborn as this, like, weird evil phoenix or whatever.
And then we find out he was never going to own... It's kind of interesting that, like, everything he did back then, he was never going to win anyways, even though they, like, could have taken kingdoms and all that stuff. There was still the Kushan Empire being controlled by a demon god. Like, and he was just a human back then.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, he was
so
never
at some
going
point
to win.
he would run into an obstacle he couldn't deal with, so he needed to break through.
Weird.
At the expense of everybody, like the sacrifice and everything. Oh, I'm trying to...
Including himself a little. Like, I'm seeing him more as a tragic character, honestly. Now that we're away from... the incident more, and it feels more like a memory and not just like something that happened recently. Like,
there was a lot of reminding of it for a long time there, but
there was.
Yeah. Oh, the tragic tale of Griffith
and Guts. Yeah.
Yeah. That said, yeah, they're on such like an outside scale of like epic craziness that I think I'm gravitating more to these kind of smaller like characters like a Shirka or a Fernese or whatever. Like there's something more to grab onto there. Of just like this is more so reminding me of like my life in some small way, as opposed to the crazy scale we're looking at with these guys. Like I don't have that fight in me or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, or like Serpico was getting kind of like this handmade character. It's like, I don't know, he's like cooking and helping the party. Like I see more how he's helping things. You don't get a lot with either of them in this. I guess you get Serpico chopping up the spellcaster guys, and then like Farnese volunteers like a thought at one point, and everyone's kind of like, oh.
Well, he's also the reason why we understand the different factions that because like this is our first coming back into the world of what's actually happening in the human world for the first time.
No, once he got back and was talking about like duchies and all the like, it was like, oh yeah, all this European jargon like for villages and like protectorates and whatever. Like he just starts laying out all this stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, medieval Europe. Like this didn't feel like it was just medieval Europe for quite a while, and now we're getting back to that a little bit.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool that each like band of knights that exists here to form this this alliance or commonwealth or whatever. It's kind of interesting that they all have like their perks and their weaknesses. Like, all right, well, this group here, they're pretty new, so they're not very like experienced or whatever, but they've been fighting the Kushan like forever, so they know how specifically how this enemy works. This group is like
he lays out a bunch of stuff. It's like, they have like a big budget, they have tons of great armor and stuff, but these guys, they're smaller, but they have more experience fighting.
Yeah,
these guys can only hire mercenaries, but you know they're pretty vicious or whatever. Like he kind of doesn't give the edge to anyone. It's like they're all tough in their own ways. We'll see how this goes.
It's kind of cool though.
Tons of groundwork.
Being back in human bullshit felt really nice and grounding in a way we haven't had in a long time.
I guess so, yeah. Like with Cliffloth and all the crazy creatures and everything.
Well, the trolls, even the witches. This is literally just like there's mercenary like leader barkers trying to get people to join their crew. Like this is so human and normal that it's actually kind of weird in this world again to see.
But yeah, I guess we're gonna get human soldiers versus familiars coming up pretty soon here, so. Probably. So they're gonna be outmatched again. But we'll see. So yeah, a lot of war in the future. Any questions this week or no?
We have two. We have two emails.
Whoa. Okay. What is it? I have gone berserk at gmail.com.
I have gone berserk at gmail.com is where people can write in. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
And you can be like Antonio, who says, ding, ding, ahoy, members of the Good Ship Berserk cast. Sorry, probably butchered that one. Last week, you asked the audience about a suit or piece of clothing we'd wish to help us in our everyday lives. At first, I thought about something for the cold since I generally don't like cold weather. But then I realized I'd probably end up getting hypothermia. And while I love the heat and will wear all black in 38-degree weather, I realize I just die of a heat stroke if I push my body harder. After thinking about it for a while, I decided the best type of clothing to aid me would be an undershirt that helped me pump more adrenaline to extend my limits. So he apparently wants berserker armor.
But in a low-key cotton form.
Under armor. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Berserker under armor. So stupid. Sure, my body will hurt, my muscles will hate me later, but at the moment I'd be able to push myself even further beyond my own limits. But now back to you guys. This time let's hear from you. This week's homework is to come up with a name for yourselves in the Berserk verse. Gotta start naming those Band of the Barrel members. That's all. I hope you have a great day and keep on berserking. All right.
Jeez.
We got to name ourselves.
I mean, I started Persona 3 yesterday, and I keep using Kraz, which is my gamer name.
Yeah.
But you have to come up with a Japanese last name, so I went to a generator, came up with something, but yeah.
What did you come up with?
Motoyasu. That's what I went with.
Kraz Motoyasu. That's pretty good.
I thought it was okay. Yeah. I keep thinking in Japanese frame of mind with all the sumo and stuff too. It's just like, all these guys have these fighting names, these ring names.
Yeah.
But for like this is a medieval world here. I don't really have a great medieval name. Sorry,
I don't really either. I don't really like do this. Be easy if like I was a lumberjack or a cop or like something with like where you could have a nickname maybe, but like I work in an office. Like I don't do anything that would be worthy of a nickname or anything.
Or like a Second Life name.
Right,
you know?
Exactly.
Or PlayStation Home. Which doesn't exist anymore. Home. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a really good... I guess if you, like, Japanified my screen name, it would be, like, Exfo or something. You could do that.
Mm-hmm. I kept trying to think of, like, lion-themed names because my last name's Roar. So it's got a little, like, rawr thing going on.
Roar, yeah.
Roar. But I don't know. So, like, yeah, lion in a different language or something. Try to, like, disguise it a little bit. That's what you're going with.
What language? Lion. Okay, wait. Why don't I just look up translator? I'm just.
Well, you'd almost want to choose a Germanic language or like Gaelic or something, and just see if it has like a fun sound to it. But
okay. Is there something like Welsh? Maybe. Let's see.
Sure.
Lion and Welsh.
The Welsh have a fun name.
Lou. That's kind of shitty. Okay, let me.
That's not good. Sounds like a bathroom.
Yeah, that's not a good one. How about Scottish Gaelic? Leomhan, I guess.
What was that one?
Hold on, let me see if Leomhan. It's Leomhann. Leomhan, I guess, is probably.
That's not. It's very medieval sounding to me.
Leomhan, yeah, that's okay.
So
that's pretty good.
It's not bad. That's the last name anyway.
Sure. All right. Next question's from Thomas. In a response to this week's question, my suit, which would enhance my work, is a context switching suit. Essentially, it'd be like Severance, except for different ongoing tasks. So I don't have to spend time remembering what I was doing for 4 hours earlier in the week. Or if I start a new task, I'm not bogged down by thoughts of the other 10 tasks I could be doing. Like Severance, merging thoughts exist, so once I'm done a task, I could just merge it into my whole self.
I haven't seen Severance, so I'm kind of trying to puzzle out what this would mean. But it's like compartmentalized memory or something? Like you're not...
For the task that you're currently doing, and then at the end of the day, when you take, like, I'm guessing the pants or shirt or whatever it is off, the headband off, it just, like...
You just leave that there?
It just, like, all compartmentalizes to yourself. Do you know, like, the idea of what goes on in Severance?
Oh, I've only seen, like, the ads and stuff. So if they're being cryptic on purpose, then it works. Because I don't really know.
They're being cryptic on purpose, but...
Yeah, I'm assuming there's some dark secret, and they don't know that what they're doing. Oh. It's like a Paycheck with Ben Affleck. You know? I mean, wipe his mind.
Kind of. It like the idea I think that drives Severance, that isn't really a spoiler, is what if like you never have to go to work because like that part of your mind is shut off when you're at work, so it's just always like you're not working. That's kind of
that'd be great.
Yeah.
But I'm sure
you should watch the show. Yeah, you should watch the show and then maybe see if that would be great.
You'll find out how it's not. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
For questions, sorry, go on.
No, just with the first one, even like the too hot, too cold thing, I thought it was just like, oh, it's like a jacket that just adjusts to whatever it is. Just like you just decide on a style that works year round, and it gets warmer or colder as needed.
No, because before this, like, yeah, no, I guess it would be that kind of, but you wouldn't feel if you're too hot or too cold, meaning your body would overheat.
Right. If you just have a jacket that's just perfect all the time, in any situation.
Your nerves feel like you're fine, but your body is actually boiling. Your blood is like
right, because I guess if it's like the Berserker armor, it's just like, oh no, you feel fine, but you're not.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
You are dying.
It's kind of a monkey's paw situation there.
Yeah.
So like the monkey's paw situation for the other one about like compartmentalizing your tasks has, if you've seen Severance, it has obvious like ramifications I don't want to talk about for spoiler reasons. But like not being able to just remember parts of your day while you're doing other parts of your day could be really bad.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Like lessons learned, it's like, nope, I don't have that because I'm not wearing the headband. Right. So I don't know not to do this.
And like he's trying to get around the drawback of like, yeah, but when I take it off at the end of the day, I can merge all the memories together. It's like, no, that's not how the Berserker armor works, though. He can't just take off the suit and then his body is healed. Like, it's still gonna be fucked.
Yeah.
So I'm taking away that he tried, but I'm taking that away. You don't get to take your memories back at the end of the day. Like,
no, there being a drawback is kind of the whole thing.
It's kind of the thing, yeah. So.
Yeah, it's sort of parasitic in a way. But, yeah. Okay. So there you go. I have gone berserk@gmail.com is the address to send questions in. I don't know if we have a theme for questions this week.
No, I'm trying to think of something to do here. You know what? Write in with, because I'm guessing people listening are gamers of some sort, write in with like your best example of killing a central figure to like take out their army sort of thing. Like, what are some cool ways that idea of these guys are being controlled by this thing, so if you take out the central hub, the rest of it kind of like falls down? Because I'm interested to hear what other ones were. You said ARPGs kind of do this all the time, and they do. I'm having trouble like thinking of other specific examples, so send some of those in, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, coming off JRPGs and stuff, it's like, oh, you're supposed to target this thing over here. But if there's like a more clever way of disguising what's really going on.
Right.
But yeah. Or crazy medieval names. Or
crazy medieval names would be fine. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to put more thought into that. But Liumham is what we're going with for right now. But okay, right. Until next time, I'm Nathan.
I'm Paul.
Keep on Berserk.
On the good ship Berserk.
That's right. Ding, ding.
Ding, ding.